It is Bellboy Brand Investments. You're coming to you live from New Windsor, New York, as usual. Last week we talked about new beginnings. This week we're going to talk about diving into new information. It is year number 2, episode 17, episode 69 that I've ever done. Last week my portfolio was up 3% and the S&P 500 was up 1.2. So we're back in the W column when it comes to benchmarking ourselves on the S&P 500. So that's awesome. For my month to date, I am down 0.3%, and then my year to date is up 52%. For the agenda today, we have our FinTip, news, new purchase diversity, free money. We're talking about some dividends. We're talking about the highs and lows of the week. We're talking about crypto, the pick of the week recap, the pick of the week from last week, a quote, final set, and then the final thoughts to really kick us into next week. So for the fin tip this week, if we're talking about diving into new information, let's bring up some old information that we had from before, an old fin tip that's super huge for us because we need to keep our eyes out for what we're using in daily life because it changes on a routine basis as technology grows and as we refine really what our routines are. But then we also need to look out for what other people are using. So as I hopped over to this new company, I had a lot of technology thrown at me. So just by having different interfaces or different things, using certain technologies that I used to use other things for, it's interesting to see, one, how their servers are, and then how they really stack up against the other things that are going on. So I think it's important for not only us to be focusing on for our own portfolios, but to be letting other people in the group know as well so that they can take advantage of it and then they can make some money off of the things that you're seeing too. If you have a great experience with a product or a store or a team or any group or individual, see if they're public, see if you can actually put your money in. See if they're public because there's a big chance that other people have had a similar experience with said product, said team, said app, and there's probably a good organization behind it. So it's maybe a chance for you to make some money on it too. So fin tip of the week, keep your eyes open, keep them peeled, and keep them ready for new information and new things to be able to be hopping on. Because there's constantly things that are being pumped and dumped. And if we can make some extra money on them, then that's really the name of the game. For news this week, GM recalled $1.8 billion. Yes, $1.8 billion when it comes to some of their EV vehicles. That hurts. That just shows that they weren't really ready for the game. Some of the people who had a lot of preparation going into it, not just jumping in and then putting out a bunch of cars. The name of the game shows it's not as easy as GM had thought. $1.8 billion recall, that hurts, and that's going to hurt their earnings when it comes down to the quarter. The S&P 500 is at an all-time high. Again, a little scary for some people. Other people are saying just new emerging markets are taking over what's going on. Alibaba was squeezed by the crackdown, and they're also getting some shots fired at them from other large retailers like JD.com, and then there was another one as well. In JD.com's earnings call, they totally bashed Alibaba's, talking about how they just want to do as upfront business as they possibly can. Good for JD stock, but Alibaba's at 159 right now. I've been buying it the entire tumble down, and as soon as I have some extra money that I could throw around, I'll probably buy some full Alibaba stocks. I think 159 is an absolute steal for the Amazon that is being looked at differently right now in China. For new EV, speaking of Amazon, Rivian is seeking an IPO, and they're really backed by Amazon. So that's another EV company. If Jeff Bezos is going to put a little nudge in an EV direction, I can't imagine that's not going to be successful. I don't think I'll be jumping on it because I have a lot of EV stock in my portfolio, and it's really balanced that way, and I'm trying to really get things more square out. So for earnings this week, a lot of big earnings. Zoom, Li Auto, Chewy, DocuSign, and then this new thing that I bought this week, which I'll talk about in a second, Okta. That's something that I'm going to be buying this Monday as soon as possible. But Okta is something that actually holds pretty much all your passwords for every different application that you're using. So rather than me having to focus on an individual password or remember a password for all these different applications that I'm using, it kind of saves them. It can reset them constantly for you. And your passwords are like W7_4 plus sign, all these weird things that are going on. But in reality, what comes down to it is it makes your password almost impossible to be able to hack. So Okta, that's something that's huge. I'm buying it on Monday as soon as the bell rings. For other new purchases this week, I just bought more Apple. I see them doing a lot of good things. I have good customer experience. I'm just going to keep buying them and keep adding to my position on them because I don't think I have enough money in them right now. I think I'm behind the curve of where I want to be and where I see that they're going. For free money this week, bringing it up again, Apple and Best Buy both gave me free stock just for logging on to Twitter. Free money is also right there in the description. If you haven't hopped on that, gotten that free $20 yet, you might as well. It makes sense to put your money out in multiple different places. That way when you need it, it's going to be accessible to you. For dividends this week, got a couple big names paying me just for holding on to the stock that I was going to hold on to anyway. Papa John's, Caterpillar, Starbucks, and then Paychex. I have a pretty big part of my portfolio is within Paychex. So them just giving me money back for holding on to, again, something that I was going to hold on anyway. This one was a pretty nice dividend for me since I have a pretty big chunk in Paychex this week. So Papa John's, Caterpillar, Starbucks, and Paychex. Those are the dividends that paid us just for holding on this week. The highs and lows of the market this week had a pretty good week with a lot of things pretty balancing. But GE and Pinterest are both at 6%. INN was also up 6%. MPC and gas was up 7%. OVV was up 13%. Guys, we bought OVV at $5 and now it's at $27. And it is still going in the highs column. Almost every month it's there like twice with a 5+%. So it's pretty big. OVV, I don't see them losing in the near future. I've been adding into my position and I would continue to buy. Plug is up 8.5. IGT and Gamble are both up 19%. Gamble was actually the pick in the portfolio exposure. I'm going to start doing that, picking out a stock that I have quite a bit of exposure to my portfolio on, highlighting it and answering any questions that people do have about that. So I posted that to the Instagram if no one has seen that yet. IZEA, that's a pick from Hayden, our financial advisor, is up 14%. And then Penn Gaming is up 22%. Online gaming had an absolute massive week with Rough and Rowdy and all the new states that are really adopting the new legal measures of how we can do so online sports betting. Really, again, spreading it out. It's going to be legal everywhere. There's no reason why it isn't. It's just a way of how we're going to make the most money from it state by state. For a couple lows this week, didn't have too many. Most of them were under 5%. Lucid Motors was down 5%. ThreadUp is down 12%. It's $20, and that was a recent IPO. I totally am going to be buying more of that. I'm just going to have that funds and capital available. And then Alfie was down 8%. Let's talk about a little bit about crypto and how that market's going. Pretty flat market this week. Had some ups and downs, but things have been pretty consistent. We're still at pretty big highs right now when it comes to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin was up 0.2%. ETH was up 0.5%. ETC was down 5%. Dogecoin was down 8%, and then Litecoin was down 2%. And then ADA Cardano with a three-peat, our crypto winner of the week. They're up 19%. I don't think I ever had crypto go back-to-back weeks except for Dogecoin when it was kind of going crazy. But for ADA to go up 3 weeks in a row, I think that's absolutely massive. They're right around $2.90 right now per coin. And we see them, again, going to $5 to $8 range. That's the biggest thing that I see moving in crypto right now in my portfolio. And I'm excited for really what the entire thing behind ADA is. They're trying to make sure people have financial literacy. And that's exactly what I do for a living. I'm making sure that people have the education around the tax savings and the laws to be able to put things in place to be able to make you have long-term money, because that's what's super important. ADA and the coin behind it, that's what they're encompassing with their entire idea. For the pick of the week this week, and I don't have this in my portfolio yet. I'm surprised because I guess I just didn't know it was public. But Chewy, ticker symbol CHWY. I use them perfectly. I use them all the time. The app, the Surface, is absolutely awesome. Earnings is September 1st this week. Their 1 year's at 47% return, and their 3 month is at an 18.5% return. So they've been absolutely crushing it this year. Pick of the week this week, Chewy. They're not only a dog company, but they're definitely a tech company too. So that's something I'm going to be widening my portfolio spread on with them this week. For my pick of the week from last week, we picked up another W this week, so we're 43-31. Bank of America, with that dividends increase, they were up 5% this week, so people are happy with the dividends. Lots of banks and lots of people are talking about moving into this crypto sphere. So I think it's going to be really interesting once we have the big adopters actually doing it. We have some of the back end names, Venmo and Square and smaller companies doing it. Once we have these bigger companies jumping in, it's going to be a full adoption across the board. And I think that's going to be pretty interesting. I'm hoping not to see any tax implications being put within that. So for our quote of the week this week, I think being big on information with me, talking about, we have a lot of stuff going on right now. We got to be able to focus on the important things. So William Pollard said, information is a source of learning, but unless it's organized, processed, and available to the right people in a format for decision making, it's a burden, not a benefit. So there's all this shit going on right now. Unless it's filed away, put into place, and then put in front of the right people, it's not going to be a benefit to us. It's going to be a burden. So a direct quote again, information is a source of learning, but unless it is organized, processed, and available to the right people in a format for decision making, it is a burden, not a benefit, by William Pollard. Mindset and final thought of the week. Really just got to get things going. I have a lot going on this week, and I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose when it comes to the information available. But I'm going to be breaking it down. I'm going to make sure I'm doing it at my pace. I'm going to take breaks. I'm going to make sure I'm not overwhelming my brain, so that way I'm going to be able to be the best account executive that I possibly can be. Super excited about human interest and where my career path is going with that. And there's also going to be a link in the comments too. If you haven't hopped on for the Robinhood stock and gotten that free stock, you definitely should. On Tuesday, we're meeting at 8 p.m. with the Student Athlete Journey of Success. We meet every single Tuesday, 8 p.m., talking about relevant topics. After that athletic life of how we can really build the best habits and really grow into the best people with the best, strongest networks to really help propel our own success and the people around our success too. A big thing that we do at that Tuesday 8 o'clock meeting is we have a goal board and we recap our goals with each other to hold ourselves accountable. I think that's one of the biggest parts for me, not only showing up every Tuesday prepared, ready to talk about a topic with a couple other people who are rounded minded and ready to show up, but I think it brings it past the point when we put our goals in line and then we hold each other accountable for what we said we were going to do too, or what we said we weren't going to do. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. I will be back next week for Bellboy Brand Investments. I've been having an absolute tear, loving doing this for the last year and a half just about. And I look forward to really keep moving forward and bringing the best stuff that I possibly can. So if you have any questions either about the portfolio and the breakdown or anything, just feel free to reach out to me and I'll answer any questions that you do have. Talk to you soon.